Hey guys, this is P.M.R.Bonez88, and today for my next sci-fi movie review is Highlander. So the movie was directed by Russell Mulcahy, and the stars in Highlander were Christopher Lambert, Sean Connery, and Clancy Brown. And Highlander was based on a story by Gregory Wyden, and the movie came out in late winter, early spring of 1986. There has been positive and negative criticism about this movie, but to me, for Highlander, it was the phenomenous, most epic action fantasy movie ever. They used some elements of sci-fi and a little bit of horror too. So this movie is about a Highlander named Connor MacLeod, aka Russell Nash. He was born in the 1600s in the Scottish homeland. He goes with his cousin in battle and fights off to this Black Knight and another Highlander named Krogan. So both MacLeod and Krogan fight off one-on-one, but then he kills MacLeod, stabs him right in the stomach, slightly dead. But then somehow MacLeod just comes back to life as an immortal, returns to his homeland, but the people in his village banished him because he thinks he was the devil. He creates his own house, meets the woman that he really loves, and then he meets up with the Egyptian immortal and another Highlander named Ramirez. He trains MacLeod to become the next Highlander and tells him that he has the quickening inside of him. They didn't really explain it about his quickening, the power of him, not until the sequels showed up and they explained about this quickening power that he has. So Ramirez continues training him to be a swordsman, explains to him about between life and death. And by there, when Krogan goes after MacLeod, he fights off Ramirez, but then he sliced his head off. Throughout the centuries, he's been trying to find MacLeod, seeking him out, right up until the present time. Now his mission was to find MacLeod and kill him and become the next Highlander. The storyline was very good, and how Russell Mulcahy stepped up the direction to create this film. What bothered me was the flashbacks. They kept going back and forth. I mean, 1 minute we're at the present time, and then the next minute we see the past. But when we go back to the present time, we only see a couple of scenes just for a minute or two. It's just nauseating that they could have just like kept one scene, just like stay to the past about MacLeod's backstory, and then we go to the present time. So that way it wouldn't be going back and forth and it wouldn't bother. The visual effects and how they used the lightning and the zapping, there were no CGIs that was happening. Just using animating cartoons, including the lightning bolts. They even tried hiding the strings that MacLeod was hanging up. They tried to hide it, but you could definitely tell that the strings were like right attached there, and you could definitely see them. And as for the characters, that Christopher Lambert's performance, he did it a-okay when he played as MacLeod. He's all serious and he's sometimes a wisecracker, but then you could barely hear what he's saying because every time he always whispers, and you could understand a word he's saying, and you had to turn on the volume for when you watch the TV. Sean Connery, I must say that he did a magnificent job of playing Ramirez. I mean, he was only there only in the past, but then after he was killed by Krogan. But one of my favorite characters is Krogan, which was played by Clancy Brown. He was a familiar actor. He was in throughout the TV series and other films too that I've seen, such as Pet Sematary 2 and the crappy 2010 remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. When he's Krogan, the first half of the movie he's very serious, he's all dark and evil, but then up to the second sequence, he's very wisecracking, acts like a punk, But he's trying to blend in. I guess that's the reason why he did it, and acting like a punk rock star, all heavy metal and shit. But I can see why he shaved off his head. Like he said, he was in disguise, so that way people wouldn't even recognize him. So he tries to blend in, and it does work. But I can see why he's my favorite. Sure, he may be a punk, wisecracking perv, but he's really a badass. So overall, for Highlander, as you know, it is my favorite, and it's a good movie. And if those of you didn't get a chance to see it, you should definitely watch it. I would recommend you guys to watch the first film, and then you could watch part 2 if you want, because I heard most negative criticisms about part 2. So just to rate this film for Highlander, I would have to give it a 8.6 out of 10, equals to 86%. So I would have to give it a solid B. For a great sci-fi fantasy action film of Highlander, it was really amazing, and including the fighting battle scenes, those were even great. The sword fights that was happening from the beginning and then up to the end, the climactic clash between McLeod and Krogan, that was really amazing. And like I said, with the visual effects, they were really good, and especially with the cartoon animation, with all the monsters that were coming to McLeod, almost like they were tearing him apart, but he was becoming the next and new ultimate Highlander. And I seen part 2, and it was good, but it wasn't as better than the first film. And for part 3 and 4, I saw part 3, it wasn't that thrilling, and part 4 I didn't really get a chance to watch it. Maybe it's not worth watching it. If those of you are really interested to watch Highlander, go for it. And this is P.M.R.Bonez88 signing off. His saying is, peace!
I have something to say. It's better to burn out than to fade away.